Hello, my name is Patrick Leh, and welcome to my IDE advertisement. The IDE that I personally enjoy is Eclipse, and one of the features I have found really helpful is EGit, which integrates Git functionality and GitHub access directly into your IDE. I think a good place to start this video would be to explain exactly what Git is. Git is a version control system that allows you, the programmer, to save different iterations of your program. So instead of having multiple individual files of the same program, such as how I mistakenly do it here, you can instead do version control by saving different versions of your program to Git, and even retrieve and restore old versions if need be. Think of it like a save button for Microsoft Word. Another useful and more common application of Git is to allow multiple programmers the ability to work on a single project. So how does Git work exactly? Git works by collecting branches in a repository, with each branch serving as a version of the program project. There exists a master branch, which is basically the current version of the program. Different programmers can have their own individual branches to work on, and at the end, the best version can be merged into the master branch. Since each branch is isolated, different programmers can even work on their own different parts of the project and merge different classes and methods together in the end. It is an incredibly useful and popular software that is present in almost every engineering project. GitHub is a website that some of you guys may be more familiar with. It really is just an easy way for you to access and do maintenance on your repositories. Learning how to use Git and GitHub, as well as EGit, which is Eclipse's implementation of the two, will help set you up for success in the future. Okay, so imagine I was trying to make a project to collaborate on with my friends. The first thing I'd need to do is to go to GitHub itself and create a new repository. I'm further going to call this the repo, a repo. So give your repository a name, call it repo, just something super simple, and I'll say it's for my custom DQ class, because that's what we're currently working on right now. So I think that would be a good example. And create the repository. So after you finish creating the repository, you'll need to remember this link. This will be very important. We'll come back to it later. So after that, it's important to, now we're finished with what is possible to be done on GitHub, and we need to go to Eclipse. So move to Eclipse. So if you notice, my Eclipse perspective is different than the ordinary Eclipse perspective. I'm currently using the Git perspective. In order to access the Git perspective, you would go to Window and hit Open Perspective, hit Other, and open Git. So about EGit, the good thing about EGit is that it's already downloaded on modern versions of Eclipse. That's because Git is so popular and so widely used that Eclipse took the extra step and just straight up downloaded it for you. So when it comes to this, you're going to need to create a repo. I know we already created one on GitHub, but you need to also create one on Eclipse as well. So I'm going to name it the same thing I named my repo on GitHub, just repo. I'm going to change the name from master. There are a lot of discussion lately about how master is has some weird connotations in 2023. So I'll call it something like super. Realistically, your default branch name, which serves as the current version of your program, can really be named anything, but something intuitive always helps. So after this repo is created, right here, just called repo, you'll need to add a project, right? A lot of these steps now from here on are going to be a bit more similar to creating a Java class in Eclipse. There are a few extra things to take note of, so please pay attention carefully. Go to Java project, right? I'm sure everyone who's used Eclipse has done this a million times before. Create a project name. So I was going to do it by custom DQ class. So I guess that's what I'll name it. Custom deck. And an important thing is to not use a default location. Instead, you're going to open up your Finder by hitting the browse button. You're going to find this Git folder, and you're going to find the repo that you just created. We just created the repo called repo, and you're going to open the project in here. That's because this project, in order to add classes to the project, and then push it to a repo, it has to first be within a repo. So we'll hit finish, and it's going to give us the option to switch to the Java perspective, which is the default Eclipse perspective. However, since we're still using Git and you're using EGit, I think it would be best to actually just stay in the Git perspective. So our project is now in a repo, but if you open things, you're going to notice that you can't find the project. That's because it's there on Eclipse, but it isn't actually added to our repository yet. So I'll get to how to do that in just a bit. But in order to add a Java class, you will need to hit File, New, Java class. And again, important to choose where you put it in your source folder. So we just created this custom Deek folder, so be sure to save it in there, specifically the source folder. Save it in there. We're going to name it something simple like custom Deek. And there's our class. So I originally intended for us to write the custom Deek in here, but obviously after trying a few times of recording me coding that, it always took way too long. So I'm just going to write a simple print statement. Public static void main string args, and let's print out print ln I enjoy CS48. This is true, I do. So after we have our class written and completed, we are almost ready to push it. So one thing you'll notice about the Eclipse Git perspective is that it has this whole staging center down here. And this is important because before you push commits to your repository on GitHub, you first need to stage your changes. But actually, I almost forgot, but before you do any staging of your changes, you actually need to straight up compile and save your code. Otherwise, there's nothing to actually push. Okay, so print to the console, I enjoy CS48. That's good, seems everything is working. We'll go to Git staging, and let's just stage all these changes. We're gonna add a commit message, just so it helps us down the road. Added custom Deek class. And then we're gonna commit and push. So important thing here is when you are pushing, you're going to need to put it within your folder, within the repo that you created on GitHub. Not the repo you created on Eclipse, but the repo that's on GitHub. So we'll go back to the repo we created, just repo, and we're going to copy this link. We're going to paste this link within the URI and enter the authentication, the username and password for GitHub, step through the preview steps, and then hit push. And there we go. We have pushed to our repo. And if we go to our repo here, let's hit reload, you'll actually see that we've actually added the custom Deek class. Open source. And there it is right there, customdeek.java. Once that super branch is created, your repo has its first official branch, and it now is ready to share with other programmers. And your repository is ready for other people to add their own branches, and you guys can start collaborating on your project together. There are honestly more Git functionalities I would have loved to explore with you guys, but unfortunately we're out of time for today. So thank you for watching, and I hope this can help you guys in your own programming assignments. Thank you.